Hey, howdy, hey. Hope you're having a pleasant Tuesday. We're going to be doing something a little different today. We haven't been doing 2D art, but right now I have to get a quick commission turned around, and so thus we're going to be working on that for tonight. And there's going to be a bit of a rant later on tonight, so for those of you who actually enjoy the rants, which I know there are probably one person that actually enjoys it. But it is an important thing that we are going to be covering, and it has to do with Fiverr. We'll be addressing that later on, but for now, we're just going to begin with this. And the goal is to try and match it as close as possible to the original sort of look, and then update it to a different structure, different pacing, things like that. But anyway, I have a template to kind of work off of. I have a rough edit for timing and whatnot. So while you cannot necessarily hear the music that will be playing with it, I am listening to audio that I'm going to be trying to match this to just a little bit. And then hopefully I'll get to the point where I can start rendering it out tonight. We have another special graphic we'll be adding in, and that will be a simple 3D rig. More information in a little bit. Greetings there, Bastion. How are you doing? Doing a bit of homework at the moment. I'm doing good. Wonderful. Yo homework. Something that I struggled very much with. Never a fan of homework. Made my professors very frustrated with me. Gotta do another text block here. This is a relatively simple project, all things considered. It ended up being more complex because, like with everything, I'm a sucker for punishment, and I wanted to do something a little bit fancier. Has to be relatively close to there. So there's something I want to, well, there's something I do eventually want to bring up later on tonight. Let me give it another couple minutes before I mention it. But there's something going around the news right now. Tens of thousands of people let off today from their jobs. Amazon, Windows, Microsoft, many other tech places. Everyone's been letting folks go. And it's got a lot of people very frustrated, very concerned. Rightfully so. The question for tonight: what is better? To shutter your business to let people go? Or to raise your prices? Are those the only three options a company has when they're facing financial woes? That's the question for tonight. The project had a group of us writing an essay and creating a short video about the subject. No one in the group wanted to be seen in the video, so I'm using my previous video editing skills to work around it. I don't blame them. When I was at college, we didn't have to worry about that. Nowadays, there's a lot of people that are understandably afraid of putting themselves out there. I don't criticize people for having that fear. I don't think it's as big of an issue as some people have come to believe, but it still is something that does make life very, very difficult for folks. It's made a lot of people's lives miserable. Kind of interesting to consider. Where'd this thing go? There it is. I don't like this positioning tool. Oh well. Oh, I had to go the other way. That's bias. Vector positioning. Very frustrating stuff. So there was a group project I had to do. It was a video. We all had to be in it or do a presentation, and so thus we all went in and filmed ourselves with it. So I became kind of understandably careless when it comes to media, and because of my personality, I don't really have to fear the way that other people do. But it is something where I have had to second guess myself a couple of times. I have thought maybe it would be good to have an avatar. And I do not want to do that. But I have wondered that. Is that going to be something that I will have to do in the coming months or years? And, I don't know. It's a little too late for me. There was a person that I knew who had already put her face out there. Everyone knew who she was. Well, then she decided that she no longer wanted to show her face. So she made an avatar for herself. And then she pretended like, oh, I'm just ill. I can't turn on the camera. Whole time, those of us who knew, we knew that she was trying to hide. She had crossed a line and she couldn't go back. No matter how much she wanted to, she deleted her previous videos that had her face, and she was hoping people just wouldn't know. She went to events, people still knew who she was. Once you put yourself out there, there's no going back. That being said, it's not as scary as people make it out to be. I mean, if you're going to go out and give like all sorts of really dark takes on things, then yeah, of course it's going to feel very dangerous. But it's also not as horrible as people make it out to be. It just might be worth it to be a little careful, but to more focus on who you are, what sort of person you are, what sort of opinions you're going to put out there. I'm not saying to hide who you are, not to pretend to be someone else, but more to just be aware that sometimes what you say can be taken out of context, and it can surprise a lot of people when that actually does happen. So here's more of that subject that I was mentioning about earlier. What do you do if you have a company and you're at a important position of where you have to make a decision? You have to make a cut somewhere. Somebody is going to bite the dust. You don't want to. And you tell everyone you don't want to do this, but you have to do this. How do you decide who is going to have to pay that price? Well, for a lot of people, it's all based upon money. What is the dollar bill amount? How much will you save? Then they consider that as the good thing to do. They don't like to think about, oh, well, there might be consequences to that. The reason why this matters so much to me in recent months is that I've seen people throughout my life make financial decisions, saying, oh, this is the right way, we need to do something because money tells us we have to do it this way. They forget about innovation. And that is so weird to me. Innovation feels so very simple. You can find other ways to try and make more revenue. You don't have to cut your entire business. Good luck trying to tell the businessman that. That tool's not going to work. How do I do this? I need a poll. Lock track seems like it would be helpful. I've done this multiple times. Why can I not remember what this setting is? Okay, I did this just the other day. So innovating. Coming up with ideas to improve your business, to expand, takes vision, takes sacrifice. What we see companies doing right now is they are focused primarily upon making their revenue. I have to make my multi-millions. I have to be able to buy myself a big fancy car, a big fancy house. Never do they consider, maybe I'm doing something that is just selfish. So you have to have somebody who wants to lead and who wants to be charitable, kind, considerate. If you don't have that, well, good luck. Your company's in trouble. You will be sold out the first moment that they get the chance. Amazon is doing that right now. They don't care. In fact, I would dare say that their desire to do good is not there. Not in any way, shape, or form. No matter how much Bezos pretends to be the charitable, kind fella that just wants to give everything away to the needy. He doesn't know. He doesn't care. He wants to see his legacy preserved, his future forged. He doesn't care about what his company's going through. He doesn't care about if there are people that have concerns. He doesn't care if people get broken limbs working at his place, which, because I work there, I know for a fact he does not care. And despite all of the warning signs throughout history, no one cares. Correction, not nobody cares. Basically, no one cares. And you hear people joke about it. That's the thing that's sick to me, is that there's a lot of people that will say, yeah, it's not good that we allowed this or that to happen, but you know what? Oh well. Can't change it. And they laugh about it. They don't have any sort of realization that, no, you need to hold people to doing what's right. Otherwise, they will abuse. They will take advantage. You can't just claim that you didn't, that somebody will just figure it out. Some of these people care so little for other people, other human beings. To them, it's just a game. And I've met some people like that. It's just a game to them. They don't care if there's a human being on the other side of their, on the other side of a screen, other side of a paycheck. Everything's expendable. Everything is able to be taken advantage of. Because in the end, it's all a game. It's a game of life. And if you're not strong enough to be able to withstand it, well, then that's your problem. Mercy is not given very good, is not treated very well. Merciful people tend to be ripped off. Understandably so. The Bible tells us to be charitable, to give to those who are needy, to turn the other cheek. Why would a company ever want to do anything else other than to take advantage of such people? There was a guy that I was talking with who kind of helped me to see what it was like to be on the receiving end of such folks in a very front row sort of position. I got to see it all. And he was dead certain that he was doing the right thing by taking advantage of those stupid people, that he was not the bad guy. He was just, doing what was necessary for his business. The whole time, though, there were people that were starting to realize, this guy doesn't have any love in his heart. And thus, what's to stop him from turning on us, his friends? Well, what ended up happening was people were so enamored with the desire to get his money, to get paychecks or whatnot, that they were willing to look the other way. They didn't care what he was doing. They didn't care what he said. The only thing that mattered to them was, am I getting a paycheck? And that was the way that people would define what was good and what was evil. That's not a good way to go through life. It kind of makes you complacent. It makes you kind of a partner in the evil in a way. When it starts to come for your fellow employees, though, your coworkers, if you have the desire to want to take advantage of your employer, you will start to realize that people stop trusting you. You'll start to notice that people don't really tell you if they hear that, hey, there's problems that are brewing. They kind of want to see you fall. These are important things to consider because in our world, there are people that are going to see someone fall and they want to take advantage of it. Now, as a Christian, you got to make sure to avoid that sort of mindset as much as possible because we are not meant to take advantage of our neighbor. We're not meant to take advantage of our coworker. We're not supposed to take advantage of family members, whatnot. We're supposed to be witnesses. And you can't really be a witness if you're trying to exploit one another. So we go back to the example of what do you do if you are in charge of something and do you have to make that tough decision? How do you draw your conclusion? Do you draw it based upon money? Upon getting rid of employees, by raising the prices, shutting the business? If you care about the people that are there, you're not going to want to fire them. If you care about your customers, you don't want to raise the prices on them. So does that mean you shutter the company? If you don't fix the finances, you'll have to anyway. But I don't think so. I think there's one other option, and that is what I said earlier, innovation. It's amazing the amount of people I hear that have financial woes, and they are like, nah, that's it. Nope, we quit. Not going to try anymore because it's financially not good for us. But if you care, you will find a way. You will find a way to say, you know what? We do need to fix our finances, but we're not going to take advantage of anybody. If there's anybody that's going to be taken advantage of, it's going to be myself as the owner. I'm going to take a pay cut. Take a pay cut? that can't be. That does not make you a very good businessman. In fact, that makes you foolish. Some of my favorite businessmen in history took pay cuts so that they could keep their staff. Good night, I need to get my sleep. Rest well, Bastion. Hope your video project turns out well. See you next time, whenever that is. I do get curious, though, if how many people actually do take that into consideration. That they can expand, that they can find new ways to find solutions just with some imagination. So how does that apply to some of the other businesses out there? Some of the freelance stuff. Greetings there, Monty. The Blender node graph. Yes, indeed. We're using Blender as our compositor. I don't have access to After Effects anymore, so I'm developing a project using Blender instead, using shaders, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but you know, it's not terrible. I mean, it takes longer than in After Effects, but kind of gets a similar sort of feel. Can't complain too much. How you doing tonight, Monty? I was checking to see how much activity is in this category. Yeah. This category over on Rumble is not very good. Rumble does not favor art, unfortunately, and let alone projects kind of like this, which are kind of, I'll say it, it's mostly boring. It's mostly me just rambling in the process of doing this. It's not flashy. There's not any sort of really cool output. Oh well. But giving it a try. And hopefully people over on Rumble start to pick up on the artistic side and hope to grow that portion of the platform. Because it definitely needs it, in my personal opinion. I need to get the next character artwork extracted. Unfortunately, the artwork that was provided to me did not have the alpha channels already put in, so I have to extract it from each character. I write electronic music on my channel, and I am thinking about possibly bringing people from somewhere else. Hey, music on Rumble is deeply needed. I have been mentioning that for a long time, and so if you can do that, you'll be adding to the platform something that is deeply needed: entertainment. Because right now, Rumble has some good features, but it is way too political for the normie. And so most normal folk don't really want to see the political stuff. They want to see art. They want to hear music. They want to see art. They want to hear music. They want to be entertained by stories. Otherwise, it will always be a political platform and nothing else. What's this player's name? All right, so this is Marashi. Okay, I messed that up. How did I mess that up? Oh, the information I received. I messed up. No, okay. Oh, that's a replacement character. I see. Okay, that makes sense now. Replacement. Just swapping him out entirely. Okay. Okay, so this one doesn't have to be updated, period. But we're still going to save it as a JPEG, just so if I have to bring it back, it will be good to go. Version 1, because this is the first one before the update. That explains why the quality was slightly different. I'm only here because I wouldn't be shadow banned for saying things that some bureaucrats don't like. But that's the real joke, isn't it? They get shadow banned on YouTube, but wind up on a platform that won't promote their craft. Yeah. Kind of ironic how that happens. The ability for easy growth is gone. The medium is saturated. And unfortunately, if you don't have fame, a lot of the platforms won't promote you, period. Oh, they'll pretend to do so. There was a guy that I got to work with for a while that was like, oh yeah, you just have to know the right people over at Rumble to be able to get promoted. I was like, that's kind of not the point. You kind of want to be able to have it organic, right? It's all curated, which is fine in my personal opinion. It should be curated. But there's one solution to make it work with that sort of structure, and they don't do it. You want to have people that curate to an audience. Let's say, for example, you are somebody who wants to hear certain types of music. Well, you're most likely going to have a bunch of friends that have a similar sort of love for the medium. Now, if there was somebody that you all were like, hey, this person's always got great opinions on this stuff, well, if you followed that person, maybe that would help to break up the algorithm that they have to curate it based upon the likes that that person has and that person has shared or followed or whatnot. So you don't have to have a standard algorithm, nor do you have to have a person like what they have over at Rumble, where it's basically one of their staff that just says, oh, I like this video. By the way, I've benefited from that twice. It doesn't last very long, I will say that. The benefit is one day and one day alone. That's the story of my life, meeting people who with flattery, but they don't deliver. Yeah. How long have you been doing music? That is a craft that I could never quite get the hang of. I tried doing music for a little bit, and I was very bad at it. If I could do music, though, it would be something like this right here. Skyrim, Lord of the Rings, high classical music with a fantasy flair to it. Ambience. There, brought that back, and a little bit right there. Okay, not so strong. Weaken that. There we go. 35 years or so. Right, decent amount of time there. Decent amount of time. Ley lines. Okay. Ley lines as playing what role? Daryl. Hit G, save. Okay. Bring it on over here. And now Daryl. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the title. There we go. There was a man that I got to work with for a short time. He was trying to go to Rumble, trying to make stuff work. He hired me for a short time. And Rumble looked at one of the videos that we made and got super, super excited. Contacted him and said, I want to give you guys a small fortune to make a series. Unfortunately, it was only sent to that one guy, the guy who's in charge. Otherwise, things might have been a little different for me. He contacted him and said, hey, this turned out great. Let's make a series out of this. Here's all the money to basically have a staff of 8-10 people for 2-3 years. I was like, that's a great deal. That's a really good deal. And the guy who's in charge looked at us like, no, that means work. And so he killed the deal. And because they didn't know that I was basically the guy that was spearheading the project behind the scenes, it never came to pass. It was the most successful video that I did on Rumble. And shortly thereafter, the guy who commissioned it killed it. He took it off the channel. Don't know why. Except that he was a bitter man about many things. I think maybe it reminded him of lost opportunities or whatnot. I don't know. But it was unfortunate to see that we put so much time and effort into something only for it to be killed. And I realized in that whole ordeal that Rumble is picks and chooses the people that succeed. And it's usually based upon fame. Now, you can't really change that part about the culture. Unfortunately, the online world has favored that sort of stuff for so long. Good luck trying to change that. But what we can do is still look out for each other as smaller creators. So, for example, Monty, I'll come over to your channel and take a look at some of the music stuff that you've been doing. I don't necessarily have a big audience to be able to like share it with. Like right now, you are the only person watching across 3 platforms. By the way, that is because of the streaming world collapsing. I don't blame necessarily one platform or the other for that. But it is something where I'll give you some of my time to listen to some of that stuff. I listen to music all the time with my projects. But that's how YouTube used to be once upon a time. And big money changed all that. And Rumble is big money. They have made it very clearly that they want to do this for an income. It's not about trying to do something for the creators. If it really was, then they would be doing things completely differently. Now, what they're doing is all about trying to make the most money that they can. And it's unfortunate because right now, the last thing we need is another media empire that wants to curate everything. Yeah, I'm a little opinionated on it. I've been thinking of switching my focus from EDM to something that suits me more. My audience doesn't care about the music I grew up making. It's far too wild. Hey, that's understandable. You know, I have made many, many projects over my years, and I'm relatively young in my professional career. Although I think I'm officially in the middle age range of media creation. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've been practicing it for about 15. But what I've noticed is that the stuff I do has a very limited audience as well. I shift with the times. I don't shift everything. I just shift enough so I can be able to maintain interest to some folks, so I can experiment with things without alienating everyone. Who knows? Maybe one day people will catch on to the stuff you have been doing, and they'll say, oh yeah, we do like this older stuff. You never know. There was I had a couple of discussions with some musicians in the past. And as long as you're making music right now, there's going to be an audience that is going to start to favor it more than a lot of the nonsense that has been coming out recently. AI has destroyed a lot of people's trust in hope in the artistic world or music world or whatnot. I am staunchly against AI. Staunchly. That's why I still do everything by hand, even if it's with a computer like this. I refuse to use AI because it's destroying the lives of people that I know, people that I care about. But I do like when people are being creative. When they're willing to go out and say, you know what? Sure, it may take a while, but I'm doing something because I think that it is. I want to do it beautifully. I want to do it by hand. I want to do it with my own creativity. That's going to define the artistic art communities of today and the future. Okay, what's going wrong with this? So one guy that I know who is in the classical music field, it's been really hard for him to get his feet off the ground. But after many years, he has finally started to get traction. Took a long, long time. But he does really good music. I have not listened to his stuff in a while because he does mostly stuff for orchestras that are, live in-person sort of stuff. Hello? What is going wrong with this? I have a feeling something's about ready to crash. Thinking that human creators can leverage that to their advantage. People want to be wowed, not see something a 10-year-old can write in a text box. Now I am not against some AI against some AI tools. There's a lot of people that are kind of in that camp. There's a couple of people that are in my Discord community that are really big into AI. I'm staunchly against it. It doesn't mean that I wish ill for people that are using it. It's more like I see something because I work in the world of tech and programming and whatnot. I've seen some things that AI is being prepared to do. It's spooky. And granted, now everyone has become aware of it. I saw it early on, and I got very worried when I saw it. It is kind of interesting how something can happen to you that causes you to become spooked like that. For me, that was a very clear moment in my life. I was seeing some technology that was in the making, and at first I was like, wow, this is really neat. And then I saw very quickly it get used to hunt down friends. I had some friends who were Chinese, and automated tools started to turn them over. So yeah, I'm very wary about the AI stuff. It's not about the fact that it's not only the fact that it's destroying the life and soul of the art that's being made, is that it's got some really scary things that it can do as well. Really scary, let alone the hostage stuff that can be done. For things that speed up the process, but help you do something that would take you 10 years, so you can do it in like 15 hours. AI is taking over every job, like real office jobs. Yep. Tens of thousands just today that were lost. Amazon says that they're going to get rid of 600,000. Think what sort of terrifying future that's going to create. I choose Team Humanity, and that means that when companies start to say, well, why are you not buying our products? I'm like, well, you fired my friends. You fired family members. You fired me. Why would I ever want to buy your products? We're going to reach that point. It is already happening. I actually kind of like that. It's about time. About time that this resistance really took off. I was talking about this years ago, and now finally, we as a culture are ready to stand against it. That is encouraging. Okay, something is definitely wrong with this. I'm going to restart the program. Something is preventing it from refreshing. I don't have to restart the program too often, thankfully. It used to be a big problem just 5 years ago. You would have a project and it would glitch, and it would take 2-3 restarts just to get the save function to work again, and then you had to do another 1,000 changes really to get anywhere. kept crashing constantly, spazzing. Okay, here we go. It's back. Slaughterbots are a real possible future because there are people who have political agendas, and they think they can make world peace by leaving other people who agree with them. Yeah. Today, Brazil announced that they are going to have an AI internet censor. AI, the more that we use it, the more empowered it gets, the more skilled it gets, the more dependent we become upon it. Brazil now has the ability to okay, this is having problems again. Well, I guess we have to just re-import it. So now they have the ability to monitor everybody in a split second. You will get automated tickets that will come to your door, and they'll say, "We caught you saying this word yesterday at 10:22 in the afternoon. And you said this word and this word. You were getting fined for $300. That is coming. It is coming to Brazil. It already exists in China. And we have people here in the US that want it to happen. And the more we use the tool, the more likely we are to become ensnared by it. That worries me drastically because all the warning signs are there. All the warning signs are there. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. So what sort of people will we choose to become when this stuff eventually starts to appear in our neighborhoods? What sort of stands will we make? What sort of who's going to be willing to resist the AI overlords when they come knocking in our neighborhood? Are we going to turn around and flee like cowards? Are we going to make a stand? It's one of the reasons why I am such staunchly AI, because I've heard these people for decades talk about all the cool censorship things they could do to folks. And I'm like, that's evil. It's so horrible. And here they are just gleefully talking about all the cool, evil things they can do with it. Like, yeah, let's all do this. This will make us all so much money. It will finally get us to stop those doggone people on the web from saying those bad things. Well, you know, the real thing that they're trying to stop is any sort of hope. That's the real thing they're attacking. It's not censorship just for the sake of censorship. You can't control a people unless you break their spirit. That's one of the reasons why the best way to free your spirit is to honestly embrace faith. It gives you a strength that many people don't understand, and many people will never understand. Powerful institutions will never understand it. But throughout human history, tyrants have feared religious men and women more than anyone else because their heart and their soul are free from the fears that they can instill. I say we turn it against them. They probably have some kind of exception for elites, but we just have to flip it like a Boolean operation. Invert the flags on all the data. They think they know better than us. You know, the best way to break someone of their power is to refuse to play, to refuse to give anything to them. That's really hard to do as for the masses. Oh, but I want my fancy collector's items. I want my food stamps. I want my ability to go to the concert. I don't want to lose any of that. Well, a lot of people want basically bread and circus in our world, just like Rome. Sadly, any sort of ability to do an honorable resistance of refusing to do anything, refusing to play, becomes all the harder to do. Still possible. But I am worried that that sort of stuff is going to become very difficult to try and do without somebody just saying, you know what? See a machine walking by, destroy the machine. The AI is going to be our enemy. It is the elite's solution to replace us. Without us, there is no resistance. So the machine must be destroyed. I don't think that you can necessarily turn it on them as long as they have the source code. That's going to be a little hard. Data centers, I'll bet the data centers are probably going to be combat zones one day. China will probably target places like that. You get rid of that stuff, problems solved. Worst case scenario where QR codes that update machine programs, paint them on your face. So QR codes are limited to only a very small amount of code. But there is something you can do. You can poison the machine through the use of bad AI. People have been doing that. They've been poisoning the AI, and I know somebody who actually works in the field. I highly disagree with him, and so thus he doesn't realize where I stand. But he mentioned that the biggest concern they have right now is that people will poison the AI with fake information, rendering it all useless. And we may have actually crossed a threshold where we cannot come back from it. It actually may already be destroying itself. So I think the poisoning may have worked. But still, I am going to reject the AI because I don't want to feed it good information. I want to feed it bad information. That way it breaks. And it cannot replace people as quickly. It will eventually come for us. But hopefully our heart and soul of our nation will be healed before that happens. So that way we can turn on it with a vengeance. It takes a model that has all the qualifying data and then noise is pumped into the model and it encodes the desired output. Oh, I know. I actually know quite a bit about AI. It's actually fascinating how simple it was to kind of come up with it. So I do programming as a main part of my job. And there is one thing, though, that is with AI that makes it incredibly fragile. And it's that it requires user input. And that's where I want to try and cause damage to it. It's like, why should I be feeding it good information? I'll feed it bad information. And in doing so, you help to poison it just a little bit. But the data centers are the first place that I'm like, I want to see this sabotaged in one way, shape, or form. I want to see companies say, you know what, we're going to shut this place down because ethically we do not agree with it. That's what angers me about Elon Musk, is that he is a free speech activist. He wants to stop AI takeover, and then he goes and develops his own AI. I don't like it. Very big problem in my opinion. Humans are being poisoned with bad information. Yeah, that is indeed true. There are a lot of people in this world that are definitely making that mistake. I had a roommate, smart man, back at college. Very, very smart man. And he was the one who first told me about the potential of AI. This was back in 2010, 2011. And up until then, I knew that AI was coming. I just didn't realize how soon it was going to be. And he started mentioning some of the cool things you could do with it. And that's when I started realizing there's some scary things that you can do with it. Incredibly scary things you can do with it. And here he didn't really care one way or the other. To him, it was a game. Oh, don't worry, we'll never get to that point. We'll stop before it happens. The last few years have proven otherwise. The moment people started smelling the potential of success, they're like, yeah, now let's double down on this AI nonsense. Let's make the world panic. Deeply concerning to me. But one of the things I noticed with it was just the pure desire for control. Some people are so obsessed with the idea of control and perfection, they will stop at nothing for it. And my roommate was an example of that. No, he was not a cruel and evil man, but he loved control. He loved micromanaging things. To him, it wouldn't have taken much for somebody to just come along and offer him money and say, hey, help us to develop it. And he would have checked all his values at the door just to make it because he liked the idea. It's the will of Satan distilled into a machine. It's all the greed and the backbiting and the lying boiled into a checkpoint that loads up into a GPU. I concur. There's a lot of troubling things about that system. A lot of red flags. And here we are, just gladly using it and not really thinking twice about it. Students are losing their skill to reason right now. A huge problem. So even if even if we have an entire generation that is spared, the next generation is going to be destroyed. That's why I want to stop it as soon as possible. That's why any descendants of mine are going to be denied any opportunity to even touch it, because it is just so utterly destructive. I wish our generation didn't have to deal with these cell phones. The amount of grief and pain that it's caused. I wish somebody would have come along and said, nope, too far, pulled back. We don't always have progress into something. And that's something I hope that we as a culture start to realize. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Just like the Jurassic Park saying. You're so amazed. Well, what is the quote? You're thinking so much about what you could do, you didn't stop to say if you should. It's like we don't learn anything. I choose to at least refuse to participate in that whole system. Because I don't want to make the same mistake that a lot of these tech bros have decided to do. All the sabotage, all the destruction that they're bestowing on us. Oh yeah, I get Daryl's text up here. As Daryl. And who is doing this character? Leylines. Leylines. Double check the spelling. Leylines. Okay, here we go. Press save, and there we go. Perfect. Save that. And export as Leylines. I remember that all the media started portraying everyone as though the smartphone popped out of with each of them. Yeah. Humans' flaws are condensed and thereby contains all the evils of mankind. Yeah, that is indeed true. Indeed true. That's one of the reasons why, well, someone mentioned that, oh, it's a tool. It can be used for good things as well as bad things. I'm like, have you not seen the culmination of human existence? For those of us who come from a religious background, we are familiar with the sin of the Tower of Babel, about what people were trying to do with it. And suddenly it starts getting a little spooky when we start looking at what AI can potentially do, what it's supposed to do. So I'm adamantly against it, in part because I'm like, we're going to experience something horrible. It's going to lead to all sorts of destruction. I would rather it happen to another nation that doesn't have morals, because I don't want my neighbor to suffer under this. I don't want my friends to suffer under it. If somebody's going to do it, let somebody who is prone to tyranny be the first to be an example to the world how dangerous this stuff is. I don't want our nation to be ground zero for an AI hellhole. All it takes is one evil tyrant who decides to flip the machine on everybody. I dare say that if you were to have somebody in probably, I'm going to say about 2 years. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're very close. In 2 years, you could control probably about between 70 and 80% of the nation's population with one AI. You could control them. Obey, or your entire city will starve. Obey, or you all will be fined and your cryptocurrency will just disappear. Obey, or we will turn the machines on you. And you have to worry about your house being destroyed. You have to worry about where your car's going to take you. AI is the tool of tyrants. And it's a spooky world when you start to realize what can be done and what sort of groundwork is being laid. And then you hear the sick fantasies of these AI developers. And I do say sick fantasies because they think that they're doing something good. But at the same time, you hear them talking. It's like, you want evil. You're making this, and you do want this to be evil. That's what really spooks me. That they admit to so many terrible things, and we're just supposed to pretend like they didn't say it. You know, the military has militarized drones, so why not militarize robots? Yeah, all it would take is one AI that has access to the source code of all the others. Turn them around, weaponize them. Cell phone blows up. We've already seen that happen. You're walking down a street and suddenly a car driven by AI detects that you're an undesirable. Fear's over. You're gone. You're in a home and suddenly a gas leak begins and your stove turns on automatically. Your water becomes contaminated. Yeah, I am very spooked. Very, very spooked. Humans are hackable animals in a way. We're corruptible. That's just as scary. I'm not... I have no desire to see what AI is capable of doing. People are like, oh, just wait a little bit longer. You'll get to see how cool it is. Everyone will be happy. And I already know people that are losing their jobs. I'm like, nope. Not going to risk it. Because I know that people who are in that industry just don't care. World Economic Forum is a term you should know very well. Yep, indeed. 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 What has me worried is that, well, I was at an event 1 year ago. There was a researcher who got up to speak to an audience. There were some pretty high-ranking folks there. I was there just being part of volunteer. And he suddenly said something that has stood with me and that shook me. He came from the University of Texas. And he said, well, folks, I have an announcement for you all. We have officially started to decline in population. Well done, everybody. We were successful. And they all applauded him. They applauded him that our population was declining, saying, we did this. Suddenly, it's no longer a conspiracy. They admit it openly. University of Texas was in on it. And so I look at AI and I hear what they're saying as well. We'll replace human beings. Oh, you'll get to have a life of leisure. You'll get to do whatever you want. Oh, unless it's art, because we're going to do that for you. But you'll get to do everything that you ever wanted. You don't have to work ever again. You'll get a government handout, and you'll get to live a carefree life. You know what happens when people are carefree? They become savage, immoral, depraved. They stop having families. They stop working. They stop even wanting to live. They lose hope for the future, and they automatically fade out So along comes this idea, we're going to replace the population with immigrants. We're going to outsource jobs for decades. And then when it's all about ready to go back to the American people, AI comes along and says, don't worry, we don't need you anymore. You're outmoded. It's not a conspiracy anymore. It's reality. I do not trust people that are developing AI. I think that they will one day be seen as war criminals. I do believe that. Because we've not seen the horror yet of what AI will bring to us. But we're getting close. Oh, we are getting close. And one day, there will be trials, in my opinion. There will be trials because I do think our heart and soul of our nation will have to be challenged. And we're going to have to say, what sort of path do we choose? Do we choose the technological saviors that are coming along? Or are we going to say, nope, these people are dangerous. These people are evil. They need to be held to account for the damage that they have caused. We'll see. Those are the people actively orchestrating the system of control. They are already holding our politicians hostage. Yeah, monetarily. True. Open up the cubicles of people developing it, and it's a bunch of blue-haired trannies. There's a lot of them there. There's also some other people there as well. Which makes me think that... well, I definitely do believe the devil's in it. I do believe that there is a demonic force upon them that is pushing them towards this stuff. They'll never admit it. I don't even think that our culture is ready to even consider what these people are. No, I don't think that they're lizard people. But they are something else. They are people that have sold their souls to an idea that a utopia is possible. They've believed the same lie that every tyranny before them has bought into. Whether it was communist, whether it was emperors, whether it was cults. A belief that a utopia is possible on this planet. A belief that mankind can be curated to this utopia if they just have a strong fist to keep them in line. Tale as old as time itself. Sad and tragic. But there is some hope on the horizon. Some hope indeed. But it's not going to come from those AI overlords. It's going to come from the movement that counteracts them. Lizard people are just a euphemism. It's people who lack humanity, not literally. That's what I thought back in the day, and then I came across somebody who actually believed it. So I have to give that like clarification, because I actually did meet somebody who actually thought that they were supposed to be actual lizard people. Granted, it's only one person I've ever met who thought that way. It's also only one person I've ever met who actually believed in a flat Earth. So it wasn't the same person, but sometimes you come across just that one person that makes you think, huh, okay, I didn't realize I have to make that clarification. Goofiness. Still remember that argument that I had with a guy. It's like, I was like, you couldn't possibly believe this, do you? He's like, absolutely. You don't? It's like, wow. I heard that you people existed. I just didn't realize it was that you were real. Fifth column, flat earthers do the same thing with the Bible that atheists do. They set it up as a scientific standard. Both groups do it, ironically. Yeah, there's some truth in that. It's funny, they'll cite something, and many times they'll kind of forget that there is like other information they have to take into account, and they'll just conveniently forget it. Why is this not rotating properly? Oh, well, that's fine. We'll just have it rotate like this. And we'll just rotate this to match it instead. So now it will come up like this. Wait a minute. There we go. All right, create a new one, and this one is going to be Chrysanth. Why should you choose a little troll character? There's a business that I remember, that I got to work for. This was early on. And they mentioned back in 2013 that we were all going to be replaced by robots one day. I did not work there for very long. I didn't want to stay at a place that, treated people as such. But they wanted everyone to be the robots until the real thing could come along and replace us. That company was Amazon. It infuriated me that they would be so cold. It's kind of sad, though, that so many people in this world are so comfortable doing wrong, doing evil, taking advantage of folks. I was trained early on in life to be better than that. Parents were good at that. But a lot of people, it's like they never even heard of a moral any time in their life. Amazon being among those people that never quite understood. Okay, why is it not working? Oh, color was wrong. There we go. Just had an idea. Maybe you could drive more people to your content creation by playing games, and have like one day a week where you show your viewers the channel design process, because you need your viewers to be invested in the content. So that's actually kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because we actually got started as a roleplay stream. I was playing Mr. Milo as we were going across the territory of the Red Dead world, and it was a fascinating series. We had 3 people that were working together, and after that, we went to some other games as well. Slowly but surely, the channel got smaller and smaller. It's going to happen. Some things are going to draw people more than others. And one of the things I struggle with the most is I'm not super energetic. And I do realize that having worked with top tier YouTubers, you have to have a certain personality to really thrive. I lack that personality. I'm much more the calm guy that people come to and get to have a deep discussion. But in terms of big audiences, I found that I fail at that. So I thrive much more off the small ones. We are going to be doing some more games here in this next month. We have a couple of folks part of the Discord that really like doing Fortnite. And so we'll be doing some of that over the holidays. Love the Skyrim soundtrack. Indeed. It's a good one. Is indeed a good one. I wish there was more music like this. I love the soundtrack, but it's only one game basically. I wish that more people did this. Like, imagine if there was a soundtrack out there. Someone just did it for the sake of it. It was like their own attempt at trying to build up a lore. Man, I would love to have that. By the way, I'll take a brief moment for it, just in case folks have not seen this yet. Hammer Delsmar gives me pinpricks. Yeah, indeed. So I'm going to take a brief moment for people that are watching right now, or for folks that watch this on the replay, which I do realize we have a couple of people that do that. We stream late. But I want to give a quick reminder to the stuff that we've been developing over on the Castercraft side. So Castercraft is the website that I've been developing over the last couple of years, and it is now an operational site. And I'm going to be posting more of the content that I've been making over here. I'm debating what the next one is going to be. But right now, the most recent addition is this right here, Pharaoh and the Smith. This is a short story, about a 40-minute read, at least if you read as fast as I do. It takes a while to load because I don't have the fast load time a version of the website. But it is a... What's going on with that? Okay. Never mind. There's a glitch. You can't read it right now. I will get that fixed tomorrow. But anyway, this is a site that I'm continuing to update, continuing to build, and things like this, problems that occur. Okay. But one of the other things we have is the Adventures of Milo. That is going to be coming up relatively soon. This is a novel. It is one that I've been spending the last year and a half writing, and I am almost there for it. It has been very fun to write, and this is all based on a request from a fan of the original series. And so that will be coming out in the next couple of months. I want to make sure to do some editing to it before I, take it to the next stage. But anyway, I'll be mentioning that one last time when we come to the end of the stream, and I'll make a note also to correct that book problem. Can't believe I did that. I want to know how that thing got messed up. Like, what was it that I did to the most recent update that resulted in that? Daybreak. That how you spell it? Reek. Now, a couple years ago, I got to be a part of a fairly big YouTube group. It was a weird sort of experience. I was invited to participate, and I was hired very quickly. It didn't last for very long, and it was in part because I realized how very depressed so many people were, and I was trying to help them, and that desire to help backfired. But I learned in that experience how fame can come and go in a split second. I was gaining hundreds of people day after day at one point. And when I reached the end of that time with them, it all disappeared. Well, not all of it. It was like, instead of gaining hundreds, you were losing hundreds, to the point where you basically became just normal again. I did get to hear some of the insider information, though, about how to become a big channel. And I realized what it would take to do it. And I could not pull myself to do it. One of the things you have to do is you have to play the algorithm. I do not play the algorithm. In fact, I'm somebody who gets agitated with the algorithm. Been nice chatting with you. I'll let you get back to it. I'm heading out. I'll hang out for a few more minutes. Well, much appreciated, Monty, for the time that you've given. Much appreciated for stopping by. It is always good to get to see new faces. And whenever you have to head out, hope you have a pleasant evening or morning wherever you are. And see you next time, whenever that is. Well, what I noticed, though, with the algorithm, the things I was hearing about how you actually could play it, how you could take advantage of it, there was one requirement that I could not pull myself to do. And that was you had to play off of emotions in a very cold way. And I tried it twice, and it did very well. And I felt so guilty afterwards. I just couldn't do it. I was like, nope, this crosses a line for me, an ethical line that I cannot overlook. Well, one of the things that you had to do to play the algorithm, to play on people's emotions, was you had to be willing to tear people apart, people that you knew, friends that you had. And you had to find a grift. You had to make somebody your enemy. Well, somebody very well could have been that enemy. I knew a couple of people that it could have been. But I thought, you know what? What sort of man would that make me if I did that? What sort of culture would I be creating? It's one of the reasons why we end our streams always with the same statement. Be civil to one another. Because the world is full, especially the online world, is full of people that want to take advantage of each other. Mercy and kindness should lead us forward. We should be showing people love and respect. No, I'm not saying generically like, oh, just go out and love everybody. No, I'm not saying that. But we need to show a level of wisdom with how we behave, a level of kindness that the world is forgetting. To actually care when somebody is having a tough time, to want to help them to overcome their struggles. That's why I could never follow through with playing the algorithm. It crashed on me. Fortunately, Blender has a very easy to use autosave, so I don't have to go back too far. Yeah, just 1 minute. Perfectly fine. So I was in a room with 3 guys. 3 big name YouTubers who will remain nameless because I don't want the drama that they were dealing with to necessarily come back. But they all were talking about ways to take the other one down. And they were trying to get me involved with it. They're like, oh, we should work together to take this guy down. And then 2 other guys would say they need to do that to the other guy. And they were trying to get me to help them tear each other apart. And I thought, what sort of culture does that make? It's not a good one. I definitely know that. It's the same reason that every book and video game is set in a wartime setting or a conflict or some kind. This is the sauce that makes it interesting. 'Tis true. 'Tis true. Until it becomes somebody that you know. Those 3 YouTubers, they didn't know, well, they did know, yet they didn't know how much they all hated each other. But you saw them on camera together. They were all patting each other's backs. Yeah, we're the resistance. We're making things better in this world. And the whole time, their desire was to destroy the other. I found it fascinating that they would be so oblivious. Well, correction, they knew exactly what was happening, but there were some people who didn't. Some people that were a part of that group that had no idea how they would put each other on the chopping block to be destroyed by one another. I saw it eventually happen. They turned on somebody. Not one of those 3 guys. They were too big, and so it became too risky. But there was a smaller guy who they did turn on. And I saw him break down into tears as he suddenly realized that he wanted to get out. But financially, he was trapped. Contract-wise, he was trapped. And all he wanted to do was run. He was like, I've had it. I can't take it anymore. He was willing to come up and talk to me about that because he knew that I wasn't trying to destroy him. The others didn't care. They rejoiced in his suffering. They mocked him for it. They took opportunities to jab him with like, yeah, you don't deserve anything. Man, you were just awful. You're a horrible guy. Look at all this frustration you cause for everybody. Oh, how can you live with yourself? That's the sort of culture that sort of stuff breeds. So frustrating. It's the reason evil destroys itself. Yeah. It gets hard when you see it destroy somebody that you know that actually wants to get out. And it's like, ooh, how do you help somebody like that? I was kind of hoping that I would be able to see that guy again. But so far he has not left that group, even though he knew exactly what sort of folks they were and how much they despised him. He's still there. And I don't know if he will ever leave at this point. Maybe he will. Maybe he has, and he just hasn't mentioned it. I know other people did. Other people that were finally fed up and like, okay, I can't take this anymore. Showing mercy to people. It's not trendy. It's not fun. But it's right. It takes a lot to stand against people that are people who have power. And recently this came to play. See, I know somebody who is in a similar sort of position right now. He reached out to me a while back, and I won't mention his name, but he's somebody who's in a very similar position as to what that YouTuber found himself in. And then people told him that, hey, if you don't do... They basically started turning his own people against him. His own friends against him. Hey, abandon him. Because they knew that he was already in a bad, tough spot. Abandon him. Come over here. Just to take advantage of it. Just to put some salt in that wound. Just to punch him while he was down. Actors do that. Now YouTubers. I expect one day there will be a lot of these YouTubers are going to lose their mind. They're going to have paranoid themselves into a frenzy, and they'll have all sorts of fallout. Most YouTubers are hurting. Most people get into YouTube or to streaming in general because they're hurting. There was one guy who was hurting more than anybody knew. That's one of the benefits I've had, is that I've gotten a chance to hear many stories because of the position that I held. But this guy was hurting horribly, taken advantage of by friends and family, and all he wanted, in his own words, you could say, well, summarized from his own words, was he wanted to find a family. He wanted to find a community. He wanted to find people that he could basically love and be a part of. And this group offered to be that for him. He sold everything to embrace that. And didn't pan out. He's in a tough bind. He had a very tough background. And that part I did get to hear, and they did not. And I realized this guy is in a horrible position. And he made, in my opinion, a bad decision joining them. Because he needed a real family. And it was substituting for something that would never quite be a good replacement. It would never be able to fulfill that position. If you know somebody that's in that space, or ever meet somebody that's trying to become an actor, don't encourage them to go that route. There's very likely something that's going on that they are not saying, and they may be hurting far more than anybody realizes. And you may be the person who gets a chance to help them recover. You may be that last line that they will ever have to be able to say, "No, let's journey this path together. Don't take that path. It only leads to grief." I saw men that were cast out of their extended family. I saw people that betrayed friends, people who lost careers, people that sabotaged their marriages. I saw people who were happy until they got into streaming, until they got into acting, and it all fell apart. A good couple, well, not necessarily a good couple because it didn't end up so well for them, but they were a new couple and they were doing very well. And then the fame got to them, the glory got to them, and they turned on each other, and their marriage split. It should not have happened. They were both kind people. It did not need to happen that way. So why were they into streaming? Not because they were hurting, though, which is kind of interesting. They got into it because they were forced into it. People told them, you have to do this. Obviously, you're good people for this. And so they bought that lie. And so thus, they took that path. And their marriage suffered. And they suffered. And I think if they were to go back and tell their younger selves, I don't think that they would have actually gone through with it. I think they would have said, no, this will ruin us. But they didn't know that. How could they? Somebody who could have come along and said, hey, beware. It's not a good option to take this route. But nobody did tell them that. I didn't tell them that. But I wasn't there to be at their beginning. But I was there at that point where I could have actually offered some help. And I held my tongue. I tried to help them a little bit. They would not have it. Well, correction. The people around them would not allow it to happen. So they considered jumping ship on it, and they rejected that because of what people suggested to them, and so they stuck with it. And things never improved. It is kind of interesting to think about loving your neighbor as yourself. But then we somehow will look the other way when our neighbor is suffering. And then we're like, no, we're not going to touch it. Ironically enough, many of our neighbors are hurting. We don't know. It's one of the reasons why when I got out of that group, I took on a very different sort of personality. First off, this is my personality. I knew that it eventually would come out, so I just leaned into it early on. It's like, hey, and you know what? We're going to go quiet. We're going to go calm. We're going to go we're going to become contemplative and discuss deep subjects. We're not going to avoid anything. We're going to talk about it and help people to review these things so that way we don't make the mistakes that people in the past have made in these sorts of platforms. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it is amazing the number of people that have come to the streams over the years that are like, hey, there's some really interesting things that are happening. I've gotten to hear all sorts of fascinating stories as a result. Some of them cause a lot of sorrow for people, including the people that had their marriage fall apart. Now, they didn't come to my stream but twice. It's a shame. I wish they would have come a few more times because I feel like they just need someone to be able to talk with them, help them think about the fallout that could happen. But they didn't. They made their decision, and there's nothing you can do to try and force people to change. You can try and offer some guidance. That's only if they're there. Okay, what is this character? I'm going to export this guy as Godwin, played by Frost. Crash. Probably a sign that I need to bring the stream to an end. We've hit the 2-hour marker, and so we're not going super late these days. So before we end off, I'll mention again, got some neat projects that are in the works. Oh, something else. We do have stickers that are done. I'm still trying to figure out how to even make them available. They're on the website, but you can't get them or anything because I don't want to have to deal with a store. Because when I realized the cost for it, hundreds of dollars to run a store just for stickers. There's not many of them. It's just 2 variations. That's not worth it. So I'm trying to figure out something else to do with it. Right now they're just giveaways. But I've only given away like 3 of them at this point. Even though I got like I think 100, something like that. Maybe it's 50. I can't remember how many I got for this one, but either way. But I do need to get that squared away. Fair on the Smith, be sure to read it if you are interested in deep, thoughtful stories. And we will, I'll be sure to mention about when we get closer for the next one as well, which is going to be a story about a wood craftsman. That one is also a story that I believe is deeply meaningful. These are allegories. The big novels will come later on next year, God willing. Well, on that note, folks, we're going to bring this to an end. Have a pleasant evening and morning, everybody. No matter where you are in life, no matter what background you have, do your best to be civil to one another. Because we are at a time where That matters more than ever, especially among some of the people I've seen. Till next time, folks, have a very pleasant evening.